Ohio Stadium is good. Especially
At Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball. Today the Mets play the Los Angeles Dodgers. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. Come into the Hyundai 4th of July sales event for incredible deals on the award-winning 2015 Sonata. By Verizon Fios, the fastest, most reliable internet. By Land Rover, above and beyond. By Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, more science, less fear. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. And by your Tri-Honda dealer, hurry in for great deals on the 2015 models. Well, by now the Mets have seen all the sights there are to see in Southern California. From Malibu to Beverly Hills to Hollywood. What do the Mets need more than anything else? Not stars. No, they need runs. Are there any at Dodger Stadium today? Adam Pleasant, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Dodger Stadium. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as Mets play the rubber game of their three-game series against the Dodgers. Last Sunday at Citi Field, it was a phenomenal event as Steven Matz, the local kid from Long Island, made his Major League debut. It was everything that the Mets and Matz could have possibly hoped for.
Well, you think about it, the word bandied about Matz is composure. Remember, the first pitch he threw almost went to the backstop. The third pitch he threw was hit out of the ballpark. So after that, though, he showed what brought him here. The good, hard fastball, 95 plus, ability to hit, throw the curveball, and then the ability to hit. 3 for 3 on the afternoon. Hit and run single. Later, he got a breaking ball that he hit for a single. 4 RBIs. But I think even more important, he'll have to have that composure here today, pitching in Dodger Stadium.
It was an historic day for Matz, and over the last 7 times that the Mets have sent a first-time starter to the mound, they've done phenomenally well. In fact, with the 5 that are with the ball club now, plus Colin McHugh and Rafael Montero, they have pitched to a 1.38 ERA in their first start. The problem has been the second time out, and we'll see if Matz can avoid that so-called sophomore jinx today.
Well, you see those numbers right there. It really shows it. I think it's important that in the second start, you try not to let down.
And one of the things he's going to have to do is control Adrian Gonzalez, who has hit a home run in each of the first 2 games of this series for the Dodgers.
On the same pitch also against Syndergaard and Harvey. Just a changeup out over the middle of the plate. We're talking about a guy who's durable. He's played into 162 games in a season. He's driven in as high as 119. He's walked 119 in a season. So he's that kind of player that is an all-around best hitter, I think, for the Dodgers.
On the mound for the Dodgers will be Mike Bolsinger. Bolsinger made his Major League debut against the Mets in a Diamondbacks uniform last year.
Well, the thing about Bolsinger, if you watch him pitch, he's got a big heart, lots of guts, but the most important pitch for him is that curveball. If he's getting that over, he could have a big day.
So the Mets wrapping up their series in Los Angeles before heading up the coast to San Francisco. They'll leave Venice Beach behind. Mets and Dodgers rubber game, first pitch coming up on Pix 11. Matters. Extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball, but on one night they happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game. Coverage begins 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, Tuesday, July 14th on Fox. The themes of the game are brought to you by Hyundai.
Only pitcher.
Rotation makes his 12th start of the year for LA today. He's done pretty well. Came out of his last start ill after just 4 innings. See if he can hold it down today. Starting lineup for the Mets brought to you by Land Rover Above and Beyond. Michael Kadire back in the starting lineup after missing the last 4 starts. He did pinch hit each of the last 2 days. Johnny Manel will catch Steven Matz as he did in Matz's first start. And Juan Lagares again goes in the 9-hole against the right-hander Bolsinger.
Gary, they said that he left his last start because of food poisoning, feeling much better today. I said that he has to get that curveball over. He's a guy who made his first appearance in the big leagues was against the Mets in relief, did not pitch well, but like you said, has pitched pretty well this year. Let's look at the defense brought to you by Kia. Van Slyke gets the start today with Peterson and Puig in center and right respectively. Turner, Hernandez, Kiki gets the start at shortstop. Howie Kendrick and Adrian Gonzalez, who's done a lot of damage to the Mets. A.J. Ellis, the veteran Heinz stopper, gets the start behind the plate.
Curtis Granderson will lead things off for New York. Curtis 1 for 8 in this series. Struck out against J.P. Howell to end the game yesterday after the Mets rallied for 2 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th. That was the good sign for the Mets. The bad sign was 7 scoreless innings against Zach Greinke. And while the Mets have done a little bit of damage against relief pitchers lately, they've done virtually none against starting pitchers. In fact, in the last 12 games, the Mets have scored only 11 runs against the opposing starter, and only 9 of those have been earned runs.
And you know what that gives? It doesn't give your starting pitcher any room to move.
Full shift on against Granderson. Bolsinger, his first pitch of the day, is in for a strike. Did you see that? Bolsinger glance over to third base before throwing that first pitch. Apparently just a one-time thing. And the curveball misses inside to Granderson, 1-1. I think maybe he was checking where Justin Turner was playing,
just in case how much of the line he had to cover on maybe a bunt attempt by Granderson.
I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher do that on his first pitch of the afternoon. Granderson at .251 for the year, and he pulls one foul. It's a ball on 2 strikes.
Well, you know, as a pitcher, you're supposed to check your defense before every pitch.
But before you start your windup.
But I'm saying he probably said, "Oh, I didn't check my defense. Let me take a look over there. Where are they?"
So he went down the checklist, but it wasn't quite in the right order.
That's right.
Murphy and Duda to follow. 1-2 coming to Granderson, and the curveball nubbed, and that'll be an infield hit for Granderson. There's no chance for Turner to make a play, and so the shift gives Granderson a hit on a nubber to start the game.
Well, good curveball. We said that the curveball is so important to Bolsinger, and this one just cued right off the end of the bat.
Well, Granderson has now reached base safely to start the first inning in 4 of the last 5 games, 3 hits and a walk. That's trying to cash him with Daniel Murphy coming up. Murph played 5 games since coming off the disabled list, 5 for 21, so it's not exactly been a rip-roaring return for Murph. Granderson 5 steals on the year, and Murphy slashes 1 foul.
Well, including this game, Granderson in the last 29 games is batting .300 or around .300. So he's really been the only lock for the Mets the last month of play.
Murphy 1 for 8 in the series. There are 5 guys in the lineup today for the Mets who faced Bolsinger in that relief outing he made in his big league debut last April, a year ago April, in Arizona. So there's a little familiarity here. Murphy went 1 for 2 against Bolsinger in that game. Bolsinger came to the Dodgers in a straight cash deal in November. Never a great feeling when you get dealt in a straight cash transaction. But Bolsinger, with the injuries to Hyunjin Ryu and Brandon McCarthy, has filled a nice role for the Dodgers. A little bloop by Murphy, and that's going to fall in for a hit. Granderson read it well. He'll go first to third. And the Mets are in business in the opening inning, 1st and 3rd, and nobody out.
Well, you'll take anything at this point. A cue shot and a fist shot, and you got 2 guys on 1st and 3rd for the Mets.
I'm sorry, did you say a fish shot?
Fist shot.
Oh, fist shot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like
I misunderstood. It's early yet. So Lucas Duda will get an RBI opportunity early in this game. As you look at Granderson right off the bat, knew that ball was going to fall. Peterson plays a deep center field anyway. So here is Duda, who had a very good at bat his last time up yesterday with a long double off the fence in left center against the lefty Adam Liberator, and he takes up and away from Bolsinger, ball 1. Duda's best at bats in this series have come in his last at bat of the day. Remember, he scored the winning run on Friday night after hitting a fly ball double down the left field line.
Well, it's interesting to see those stats put up, right? 356 on base percentage. You'd say to yourself, well, that's a pretty good number, but it's been gumming down.
Duda with his 2 doubles now has 22 doubles for the year, 4th in the National League. Duda hitting 3rd in the order. Wilmer Flores on deck.
Just moved Yasiel Puig more to pull.
And Duda lines one. It's caught by Kendrick, and the runners get back. So after a nubber and a bloop, Duda hits a ball hard, and that's the first out of the day.
Ball hit hard is not a hit by Duda. Hit this curveball right on the nose. If Kendrick would have looked at first, he had a play at first base. I don't know why he looked at third first. Look at the play he had at first, but he looked at third.
Murphy able to dive back in before Kendrick made the adjustment. So now 1 out, runners at the corners, and Wilmer Flores coming up. Wilmer has strung together a couple of 3-hit games in this series. So he's 6 for 8 in the first 2 games after a long dry spell. 35 runs batted in, leads the team. And he takes a curveball out of the strike zone for ball 1. Quite a contrast today in the velocity that these 2 starting pitchers are going to display. Bolsinger is going to top out around 88 miles an hour. Steven Matz will throw in the mid to high 90s. Granderson at 3rd, Murphy at 1st, and Flores gets ahead of one and yanks it deep but very foul into the second deck. Bolsinger, 27 years old, out of the University of Arkansas, drafted by the Diamondbacks in 2010. And a check swing, and Flores run around 1-2. Bolsinger was 2 years ahead of Matt Reynolds at the University of Arkansas.
There's that good breaking ball there. You'll see a lot of those from Bolsinger this afternoon, depending on how long he lasts.
1-2 to Flores. And he takes one the other way, a base hit, and the Mets have a first inning run. Granderson's in to score, 3 hits in the inning, and the Mets with a 1-0 lead. First time in 9 days that the Mets have scored a first inning run.
Well, Wilmer's coming off 2 3-hit games on Friday and Saturday and continues his torrid pace here, driving in that fastball the other way. Why he threw him a fastball after that curveball makes no sense to me. But
Flores has not been able to produce very much on the outside part of the plate, so that's a very encouraging sign. Not trying to do too much with that right side hole open. So now Michael Cuddyer making his return to the lineup. Cuddyer had a couple of at-bats yesterday, went 0 for 2 off the bench, and he takes a curveball for a strike. Cuddyer just 2 for his last 32. Had an injection in his knee after tweaking it in the game last Wednesday, and he takes a strike, and it's 0-2. First run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Flores now with 36 runs batted in, driving the first run of this game. Ball and 2 strikes to Cuddyer. Michael's seen his batting average shrink to 241. That is unaccustomed territory for him. Johnny Manel would be next. And the curveball fouled off.
Well, Gary, when you look at this lineup of the Mets, it's nice that Cuddier's a team leader. He's a veteran. The Mets have a lot of players like that are good people, but if they don't hit, they can't run, they can't really initiate any kind of offense except for being able to put the ball in play. And that's been Cuddier's Achilles heel this year, especially with runners in scoring position.
194 with runners in scoring position this year. And he chases the curveball for strike 3. So Bolsinger has his first strikeout, 2 down in the inning.
Well, the good breaking ball that we saw against Flores, he repeats it here against Cuddyer. The fastball in, breaking ball away. It's been done for 100 years. Beautifully there by Bolsinger.
So 2 out and 2 on. Now Johnny Manel making his 6th start for the Mets. He started last Sunday in Steven Matz's debut and handled Matz nicely, had a couple of hits. He had caught some of Matz's most recent starts in Las Vegas, and he's back out there with Matz again today.
The thing you can say about Johnny Manel is that if he's looking for a fastball and you throw it, he's not going to miss it. He's a dead red hitter.
Murphy at second, Flores at first, and 2 down. And he gets 2 breaking balls in a row, and it's 1-1. Maybe profiles offensively like Mackey Sasser.
Exactly like Mackey Sasser. I think though that Mackey probably put the ball in play more than Johnny.
Johnny probably has a little more power.
Yeah.
And Manel gets a steady diet of breaking stuff, and it's 1-2.
And while he's been trying to find his way, and this is his curveball here, Las Vegas catcher's been doing pretty well in the last 13
Well,
games.
you're talking about Anthony Recker. 7 home runs his last 13 games. Las Vegas is quite a tonic, isn't it?
There's Greinke. Might start the All-Star game for the National League.
Why not? Off-speed pitch in the dirt, 2-2. Greinke, 7 scoreless yesterday, has now thrown 27 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings, which leads him less than halfway to the Dodger record
of 59 by Oral Hershiser. But his ERA now 1.48 on the season.
Got his 7th win of the year yesterday. 2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Manel. And Johnny gets another curve and pops this one up. Left fielder Van Slyke started back, but plenty of time to come in and get it. And the side retired. But the Mets put together 3 hits and get an early run for Steven Matz, who takes the mound when they come back. on the 5th of July, the day that Ron Darling is used to finishing games, not necessarily starting them.
That's right.
Here's the Dodgers starting lineup, brought to you by Land Rover. Kike Hernandez gets a start at shortstop. Jimmy Rollins has not been productive, so Hernandez in there against the left-hander today, as is Scott Van Slyke, as is A.J. Ellis, both for the first time in this series, as Steven Matz makes his second big league start.
Best part of this second start for Steven Matz, he doesn't have to leave as many tickets here in Dodger Stadium for his family and friends. 100, I think, home at Citi Field, but still daunting task facing the Dodgers here at Dodger Stadium.
He doesn't have a West Coast home bureau.
That's right.
Kike Hernandez, who played last year with the Astros and the Marlins, who was part of the D. Gordon trade with Miami. He can play everywhere, and he's playing shortstop today, hitting at .269. And Matz's first offering, a fastball up and away, ball one. A ball, but at least this one didn't go to the backstop like his first pitch did in his first start against Brandon Phillips. And Hernandez chases one, and it's 1-1.
Boy, good life on that fastball away. Disappearing with a little bit of a sink.
Matz catching his breath. 1-1 to Hernandez. And a changeup. And Hernandez goes wailing at that. 1-2.
Well, Hernandez is a free swinger, so you can counter that with some changeups and curveballs. Good changeup on the block there.
Howie Kendrick, Justin Turner to follow against Matz in the opening inning. Steven Matz's hitting got a whole lot of attention in that first start. But once he gave up that leadoff home run to Phillips, he really pitched well. That's hit hard in the hole and off the glove of Tejada. A base hit for Hernandez.
Here's a look at the defense behind Mr. Matz today. Presented Michael Kadire, Lagares, and Granderson in the outfield. Murphy, Tejada, Flores, and Duda. And Johnny Manel behind the plate. Kia brings you that defense.
So one out. Here's Howie Kendrick, 2 for 9 in this series. And Kendrick goes after the first pitch fastball. Kendrick in the top 10 in the National League in base hits, enjoying a very good first year in the National League, very similar to most of his years down the coast in Orange County.
Although he's shown a little more pop here in the first half of the season than he's shown over there. You know, on a pace. No, maybe not. He's on a pace, you know, between 12 to 20 home runs.
Of course, the guy on deck, Justin Turner, already has a career high in home runs, and this Dodger team leads the National League in home runs as Kendrick fouls it away. Dodgers have hit 104 home runs this season. Don Mattingly's team 4th in the National League in runs scored. They're 10 games over 500. They got off to a great start this year. They were 22-10 to start the season, 24-26 since. And Kendrick goes down on the fastball, and Matz has his first out, a strikeout.
Well, really just blew this ball right by Howie Kendrick. Fastball supposed to be in. Doesn't get in, but has enough on it to get it by him. See, Kendrick explaining to Puig, what did he see up there? How's the ball moving? Did he see a breaking ball?
I mean, they've all watched video of Steven Matz, but it's a very different experience getting in the batter's box as Turner tries to hold the swing one around.
When I watch Steven Matz pitch, although he doesn't have the signature pitch of this pitcher, this ball blown by Justin Turner, reminds me a little bit of Chuck Finley when I watch him throw. Stands tall, lets it go. Finley had that split finger.
Sale side, Chuck Finley pitched for Terry Collins with the Angels, was the ace of that Angels staff for a decade. Command is at first and 1 out. And Turner takes a fastball for a strike. He didn't think so. Alfonso Marquez giving Matz the low strike. Not that low.
That's a pretty good pitch there. A nice catch there by Monell, framing that low changeup.
1-2 to Turner with Gonzalez on deck. Turner having the year of his life, yet hitting only 146 against lefties. How does that happen? And he goes down swinging on the high fastball. Back-to-back strikeouts for Steven Matz. 2 out.
Well, if you have a guy that's hot, you counter that, Gary. If you get ahead of him, you go out of the strike zone. That's always worked with Turner. He's always been a good 2-strike hitter if you throw him a strike.
Now Matz must contend with Adrian Gonzalez, who has homered in each of the first 2 games of this series. He had one against Syndergaard Friday night. He had one against Matt Harvey yesterday. It was kind of an ugly start for Harvey yesterday. 5 walks, tying his career high. He battled out of some situations, some bases loaded jams, but he was really not himself.
Well, you just never expect Matt not to have command, and I know there was some issues with him after the game talking about not having command on this 6-man rotation. It was interesting. Terry Collins said, what are you going to do about it? He said, he's just got to get over it. It's here, and it's here to stay at least through the All-Star break. But what I find so interesting about today's game is that you always try to prepare your pitchers to be successful, right? No 6-man rotation in the minor leagues, but you'll institute it in the major leagues. Right before the All-Star break, you try to get your best pitchers more starts. You're going to get them less starts. The game has changed.
Well, there's got to be a way to counteract that extra rest. The most obvious thing I would think would be to throw an extra side session, but I don't think that's really been fully instituted yet.
The problem with the side session, Gary, is that you get into a side session and sometimes you have to work your way through a few problems until you can figure how to throw that pitch. So throwing 2 kind of mounds on the side in between starts where you have to cut people off before they can get to that point.
Gonzalez gets drilled on the arm, and the Dodgers have 2 men on.
Took me too long to make my point. Apologize for that. But if you're throwing on the side and you throw twice, as you see this pitch from Max, it's supposed to be outside and just never broke, and it hits him right in the elbow, is that when you go down there, the pitching coach is going to work so hard to make sure that you don't overthrow in between starts because you're on a 6-man rotation. But that means you're cutting off your work at a certain point when you might need more work to get the feel for the curveball, the feel for the changeup, to hit that fastball in the corner. That's not a good thing. That's 2 sessions without finishing your work. To me, that's not the right way.
So what is the solution especially when you have that extra day of rest with an off day as opposed to going on just the 6th day, going on the 7th day? Here's Yasiel Puig with 2 out and 2 on.
My recommendation would always be to make sure 2 side sessions doesn't make that much sense for me. I think a lot of I don't know, you don't put the work in you're supposed to, but you always would throw on that 3rd day with a day off and then throw in the game. I think you should do that still because that's how you were trained in the minor leagues.
Puig 1 for 7 in this series. Mets have been pitching him out of the strike zone, and Mets does that with the curveball. 1-1. Puig has really struggled in RBI situations. 147 with runners in scoring position this season, and he's only had 1 hit all year with a runner in scoring position and 2 out. He takes a changeup for a strike. 1-2. Well, that pretty much says it all about Steven Matz's debut. First time any pitcher in Major League history has had 4 RBIs in his debut. First time any Met has gone 7 2/3 and gotten a win in his debut since Gary Gentry 46 years ago. 46 years ago. Gentry, of course, was a rookie right-hander on that 69 Met squad, pitching behind Seaver and Kuzman, and that was his rookie year was his best year. He had arm problems after that. 1-2 to Puig, and the curveball bounces to the left side. Tejada goes the short way and gets the force, and Matz is through the first inning. Matz gives up a hit, but has a 1-0 lead.
Remember, Dodger fans, 6 runs equals free breakfast.
Lineup. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy more shows on more screens. Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better.
They must be using a DH.
Did you count that?
Yeah, I did.
Ruben Tejada leads off the second. Mets with a 1-0 lead. Ruben 2 for 7 in this series. Got hit by a pitch in yesterday's game in the 9th inning, and was so angry at getting hit, he slammed the bat down and he kicked it. And Terry Collins said Ruben's fine. He got hit in the arm. He wasn't happy about it. But I had to ask. I said, how's his toe after kicking the bat? And Terry said, well, he half whiffed it.
Kind of whiffed it. That's funny.
Ruben at 226 for the year, hitting 7th in the order. Steven Matz, the pitcher, is hitting 8th. Which, based on his results his first time out, seems awfully low in the batting order.
I do have to say, I do have to say, though, Tejada, for what he's hitting, being hit 4 times, doesn't make a lot of sense.
He fouls off Bolsinger's curveball, and it's 1-2.
It's been a long time since I've seen a pitcher throw this many breaking balls in the first inning plus here.
Well, this year he's thrown his curveball 55% of the time, which I've never heard of before for a starting pitcher. And he throws another one, and Tejada fouls it back. I would think that would put a lot of pressure on your elbow over the course of however deep you go into a game.
Well, you do whatever it takes, right, to get by as a pitcher. But the problem is that if you throw 55%, how many are you going to hang? You're going to hang a good deal of those. That's Rick Honeycutt.
Bolsinger had early success with the Dodgers. That success has backed up a little bit lately. A little flare into shallow right, and Puig comes on to get it. Tejada retired one away.
Pitcher number 32, Steven Matz.
So here's Steven Matz and his 1,000 batting average. Tied the Mets club record for pitchers with the 3 hits. Tied another club record with the 4 RBIs. What does he do for an encore? And he gets a fastball and flies one to deep right, but Puig is there, and that's the second out. So after throwing all curveballs to the position players, Bolsinger threw a fastball to Matz, and he put a good swing on it.
Well, there used to be a time the scouting report on a pitcher consisted of this, Gary. Hey, how can the pitcher hit? He can't hit at all. He can hit a little bit, or he can rake. Well, Matz can rake.
So he makes an out for the first time in his career. Now a mere .750 career hitter. And now Juan Lagares. Juan 1 for 7 in the series. He has been struggling, but he had 2 good at bats his last 2 trips yesterday. A single and a sacrifice fly. I'm trying to get out of a deep rut that has seen him go just 4 for his last 42. Curtis Granderson would be next. Into center field. Peterson right there. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Bolsinger with 3 fly ball outs. The view from Griffith Observatory. Can you see Pluto? The dealer. Mets move on to San Francisco to face the man who no-hit them tomorrow night, Chris Heston. 3 in San Francisco, then home to play 3 with the Diamondbacks, and that takes the Mets to the All-Star break. David Wright with the Mets this weekend. He'll be saying goodbye after the game today, staying here in L.A. and continuing his rehab work. Scott Van Slyke leads off on the home second against Steven Matz. And Slyke, a platoon player with power last year, 246 at bats, 11 home runs, a 297 average.
Still trying to figure out how these guys can play in this warm weather with the beards, but his dad was quite a player, Andy Van Slyke. You see Jock Peterson, heralded rookie, on deck.
Well, Andy was a phenomenal center fielder with the Cardinals and the Pirates. Scott is more of a corner outfielder slugger type.
That's right.
And Matz walks him on 4 pitches to lead off the second. Steven walked 3 in his first start. That's his first walk of this game. And now we'll face another second-generation Major Leaguer. Although Jock Peterson's dad, Stu, spent only a brief time in the Major League. He was more of a AAA star.
He's in the middle 80s when he was with the Dodgers.
Peterson's been leading off for the Dodgers, dropped to 7th in the order against the left-hander. 0 for 8 in this series. One thing we've learned about Jock Peterson, he rarely gets cheated with his swings. He is up there to swing the bat hard. Throws a lot of walks, strikes out a lot. First pitch curveball, first strike.
I just find this new generation of player, or some of these new generations of players, interesting to watch. Jock Peterson, Chris Bryant. That's one school of guys who go up there, look to hit the ball to the ballpark, and if it doesn't go out, maybe it's a double or a single broken bat. And then you have the other school like Mike Trout, a guy with more of an on-base guy. Great power, all-around player. And I bring that up by saying that last year, Trout, so many strikeouts, 180 something. And this year he says he's going to swing at the first pitch more and try to cut down on those strikeouts.
Van Slyke runs. Manel's throw almost drilled Matz. And safe at second is Van Slyke. Manel just spiked that throw and it nearly drilled Matz.
I mean, Matz is right there. You got to throw it over him. He spikes it right down and almost catches Matz on the side of the head as he turns away. I thought this Dodgers team didn't steal 3 in 3 days.
And they've gone 23 straight games without a stolen base. But Kendrick stole each of the last 2 days. Now Van Slyke with his first of the year. 3-1 to Peterson with nobody out. And he takes a big hack at a high fastball, 3-2.
It's interesting that he has so many walks, Peterson, with the way he takes this swing at ball 4.
Well, when he swings, he does it with belief.
That's right.
3-2 with the number 8 hitter Ellis on deck.
Now in a position to make contact.
Strike 3 call. I don't know what he was looking for, but he got a fastball, and he takes it for Matz's 3rd strikeout of the day.
Well, this is why these all or nothing players sometimes make you scratch your head. Swings at a fastball over his head and takes one right down the middle.
That is the 98th time Jock Peterson has struck out this year, most of anybody in the National League. So that's the first out of the inning. Now A.J. Ellis getting his first start in the series. 25th start of the year. Up until very recently, A.J. Ellis had been catching all of Clayton Kershaw's starts, but as Monty Grandal caught Kershaw Friday night, and Ellis getting Bolsinger today. And Matz falls behind 2-0 with the pitcher on deck. Van Slyke at second and 1 out. 1-0 Mets in the second. A.J. Ellis now 34 years old in his 8th year with the Dodgers. And Matt struggling a little with his command here in the second. Falls behind 3-0.
You watch his mechanics. He's really falling off to the third base side, not getting his body straight through the catcher. Would be the first thing I'd say to him. Maybe Wortham will have to say to him.
Ellis takes all the way, and it's a strike.
Well, this motion here, a little more under control with the 3-0 count. But his head is just so still. You like to see that in your pitcher.
Ellis lifts one into right center. Granderson has it and grabs it. 2 out.
The reason I bring up the head guys, is, Gary, is that when you look at a pitcher's head, so many guys when they're young are trying to just break the radar gun. So they put all their body and arms and legs and heads into it, head into it to make sure that they can throw as hard as they can. But this is so controlled, easy gas that you love to see that arm action. It's surprising to me that he ever hurt his arm with the way he throws. But I'm sure he's ironed out some of the mechanics from being on the DL.
Bolsinger 1 for 24 this year. You know, to me, watching a pitcher with that kind of a smooth mechanical ride tells me he was well coached as a kid. And we talked about during his first start how Neil Heaton, who also grew up on Long Island and pitched for the Pirates, that he was Matz's pitching coach as a youngster, and you can see that he taught him well.
Yeah, Neil Heaton, the heater, he had great mechanics. He was in the same draft I was in 1981. Cliff Lee's another guy for Philadelphia when he's not hurt. Just beautiful mechanics and a still head.
Curveball just missed 1-2.
The more moving parts you have, the more difficult it is to repeat your mechanics. There's all the numbers. Stony Brook, New York, of course, from Nats.
Another close pitch. 2-2.
Now, there was a day as a pitcher anything close, go sit down. And I don't know when that changed. Oh, come on. That ball's right down the middle, Alfonso.
2-2 to Bolsinger. Takes a rip.
That'd be Alfonso Marquez, who's behind the plate for you guys who don't know him as Alfonso.
You see the number for Steven Matz, who after missing 3 years following elbow surgery just rocketed through the Mets farm system. And he finally puts Bolsinger away with a curveball. 4 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for Matz. And he has a 1-0 lead going to the third.
As the Dodgers grounds crew.
Drysdale was his partner in crime. Drysdale spent 14 years with the Dodgers, won 209 games, pitched over 300 innings 4 straight years. Let me say that again. He pitched over 300 innings 4 straight years. Won as many as 25 games in 1962 when he won the Cy Young Award, back when there was only one Cy Young Award.
How about those numbers in the middle there? Complete games and shutouts. Numbers you'll never see ever again.
He was big. And he was nasty. Hitters talk about how he had no compunction about knocking down the odd hitter.
He was big and nasty, but for all of us who got to know him after his playing days as an announcer, the sweetest bear of a man you could ever meet.
And unfortunately, we lost him at such a young age. It was 1993, unbelievably, 22 years ago that he passed away. Curtis Granderson leads off, and he takes the pitch high from Bolsinger. Big D was only 56 when he passed away.
They were saying that when he had to intentionally walk a guy, he would get angry at having to do that. So instead of walking, just drill him instead.
Now, is that really true?
I don't know. It might be a wives' tale.
Apocryphal story.
I'm gonna believe it because that's how nasty he was. 24-6 career against the Metropolitans.
And Sandy was what, 19-2?
19-2, 10-0 here at Dodger Stadium.
Two to Granderson, who had an infield hit and scored the only run of this game in the first. It's hooked foul. Just got a piece. I think I shorted the Mets on the Koufax record. He was actually 17-2 against the Mets. And I think, if memory serves, he beat them, I think, 13 straight times before the Mets finally beat him. You know the pitcher who beat him as a starting pitcher? First time the Mets ever beat Sandy Koufax? Tug McGraw.
Oh, wow. That's something that Sandy and I share. No, no.
That's right. That's right. Your first loss in the big leagues was to Tug McGraw.
That's right. Wow, look at those numbers here.
That included a no-hitter in 1962 against the Mets. That was the first of his 4 no-hitters in 4 years.
4 no-hitters, 1 a perfect game.
That was the last one in 65 against the Cubs. Anderson flies one foul, and he's making Bolsinger work hard to start this 3rd inning. Well, you know, when the Mets first came into the National League, the biggest crowds that the Mets had by far at the Polo Grounds were when the Dodgers and the Giants came to town. They'd have relatively small crowds the rest of the time, and then fill the place when the 2 prodigal teams came home. And there were a couple of games where Sandy struggled at the Polo Grounds with the fans chanting against him. 3-2, and that's too high. Ball 4. And Granderson on the 10th pitch of the at bat works out a walk.
That was an outstanding bat by Curtis Granderson, fouling off tough pitches to work that walk. We saw a lot of that early this season.
So the Mets have a leadoff base runner. And Daniel Murphy will bat. Murphy blooped a single to center his first time up. Mets have gone 78 plate appearances without a walk since Kershaw walked Mayberry in the 1st inning Friday night. And for a franchise that hangs its hat on walks as part of their offensive output, that's a lot of time between walks. Murphy fouls one back this way. 1-1.
You know, you were thinking about how slumps can affect an offense. It can affect it there too, Gary. When everyone's struggling, guys start to get out of their comfort zone, and everyone's trying to put the ball in play. Everyone's trying to get the big hit instead of sometimes a big hit, not a big hit, but sometimes just getting on base with a walk keeps the rally going.
Well, we've seen how much the Mets have chased pitches out of the strike zone over this stretch where they've had trouble scoring. You know, Lucas Duda obviously is a prime example, but I think it's really been up and down the batting order. And, you know, when you face a pitcher like Greinke yesterday, who relies so much on getting hitters to chase the ball out of the strike zone, it really plays into that. You see today's high-speed pitch from Time Warner Cable. Enjoy better.
Well, I thought Murph would have a big day today because he's the best breaking ball hitter in the Mets lineup.
And he pulls one through the hole on a breaking ball promptly. Granderson will stop at second, and the Mets have the first 2 men on the 3rd. Nicely timed, Ronnie.
You know, Murph is one of those guys. He's been a great hitter since he's probably been 6 years old. And what happens to good hitters when they're young? They will face breaking ball after breaking ball after that, and they develop into good breaking ball hitters.
So the Mets have the first 2 men on in the 3rd, as they did in the 1st, in front of Lucas Duda. Lucas hit the ball hard his first time up and lined out to the second baseman. That's got a run in the 1st. Wilmer Flores drove it home. Flores now waiting on deck. So Bolsinger has 3rd inning issues to deal with. Granderson at second, Murphy at first, nobody out. And Duda takes a strike. Well, the Mets scored multiple runs each of the last 2 days. They scored 2 runs Friday night. They scored 3 runs yesterday, and that may not seem like much, but for a team that scored just 28 runs in their last 16 games, it's a step in the right direction.
And you were mentioning Greinke before. Even though he's pitched 7 shutout innings, he did struggle a little bit in the beginning, and the Mets took some pitches that were out of the strike zone, like you said. So, I mean, some positive, but really the only positive comes when he drive runs in.
Duda swings at a curveball in on his hands, and it's 1-2.
To me, to talk about what ifs and how close you got, I mean, that's nice to talk about, but it means nothing until you get a guy like Duda to hit the ball at the ballpark, give you 3 instant runs.
Well, it's been a couple of weeks since anybody named anything but Curtis Granderson has hit a home run for the Mets. Duda's only hit 1 home run since the end of May. Anderson has hit the Mets' last 4 home runs. That covers a span of 14 games. 1-2 from Bolsinger, and Duda socks one foul.
He's right on that curveball. It's interesting to me, after watching all the film, that when you're ahead of Lucas, why would you throw him a strike? You'd want to bounce the pitch, but Bolsinger has been unable to do that. Last at bat, Duda hit a bullet to Kendrick.
And he paints the outside corner with a fastball, and Duda is caught looking. And gripes about it with Alfonso Marquez, 1 out.
Well, all those curveballs in, pulled foul. And then Bolsinger goes away. This ball framed by Ellis. Yeah, pretty much so. You'll see over the top. It's probably a bit outside. No, might have caught enough of the plate. Good pitch.
So 1 away. Now Flores, who's having himself quite the series. Base hit to drive and run his first time up. Wilmer is now 7 for 9 in this series with 3 runs batted in. And he's really kept his swing short the last couple of days. There he opens up and flies one down the left field line. Van Slyke over in the corner and gets there for the out, and the runners will hold. Flores almost got enough on that curveball and left it a few feet shy of that short fence in the corner. 2 out.
What's interesting about this play is that a fly ball to left field doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But Van Slyke gives Granderson third base and just lollipops it into second base. And that ball, as soon as he threw it to second, Kurz could have taken off and taken third base. Not a big thing with 2 outs, but a little thing. Just go back and tag. You know he's going to catch it. Go out like you're going to run. And as soon as he throws it to second base, keep going.
Now Michael Kadire, and Ellis blocks a curveball in the dirt. Kadire struck out his first time up.
Just those little things, Gary. It's not a big thing. But, you know, Ellis is a great catcher. But if that ball gets by him enough, you know, you score a run. You make something happen.
Well, especially with all the curveballs Bolsinger's throwing. That's got the first 2 men on in the inning, trying not to waste this chance. And now Bolsinger behind 2-0 on Kadire.
Just watch this team play base to base. And they're not a team that can play base to base because they need to initiate more action.
Such a fine line, though, right?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
You like guys to be aggressive where they can, but you also don't want to run into outs when you have players who are maybe not the fastest bunch in the league.
Well, I just think you have to think like the defense. Van Slyke, it's no way he's going to throw that ball to third and let Murphy advance. He's got to throw it to second. You have to know that at the base as a base runner.
Dyer just got a piece of that curveball. 2-2. Mets began the day 4.5 behind the Nationals, the furthest back they've been this year, and a half game in front of the Braves. But they'll stay in front of Atlanta at least for another day because the Braves just lost to the Phillies 4-0. And he's got 4 runs in the 10th inning to win that game. Snapped the Phillies' 6-game losing streak. Just inside to Kadire, 3-2.
Well, you'd have to figure with Bolsinger what we've seen the first 3 innings here. You're going to see another breaking ball, I would guess.
Granderson and Murphy will take off with 3-2 and 2 out. And Kadire pops it up. Gonzalez comes in to call for it. Side retired. So the Mets get the first 2 men on, fail to score. Still 1-0 Mets in the 3rd.
There are games
the Dodger batting order in the bottom of the third, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, obviously such a great debut for Steven Matz 1 week ago, and Dan Worthen was particularly impressed with one aspect of the performance, the way he located his pitches inside to right-handers and outside to left-handers, something that, as Worthen put it, is usually the most difficult pitch for a young pitcher to locate, to command. But for Steven Matz, he said it might be his best pitch. If there was one thing that he wants Matz to work on, it's the opposite side of the plate when it comes to right-handers, throwing that ball down and away. He said he needs to throw it with the same conviction that he throws on the inside part of the plate to the righties.
Boy, that's an interesting point, because Matz does throw to his glove side, which is inside the righties. That's it. You could tell that he loves to go in there with conviction.
Half swing, and Hernandez went around, and he is a strikeout victim. That's true, Kiki. He wanted to hang around for another pitch. It just wasn't going to happen. Mike Everett punched him out. That's 5 strikeouts through the first 10 batters for Matz, who struck out 6 in his first start over 7 2/3.
Gary, the reason I mentioned that about Matz is that most pitchers, it's easier for them to throw the ball outside and low. It's harder to, when you're young, to throw the ball inside because you're afraid you're going to get hurt in there. But that's a craft he's already mastered. Not mastered, but a craft that throwing inside has been easier for him than outside.
Do you think it's different for lefties than it is for righties?
I think what happens for most people, there's an innate talent to it.
Kendrick pulls it down to third. Murphy grabs and spins and throws him out. 2 out.
What I mean by that is that when most pitchers, is a favorite place to throw the ball. And for Matz, it's inside. Nice play by Murph there. Spins him around. Not the complete spinorama like the other day.
It was more like the ball spun him around this time.
Little breakdancing spin maybe by Murph.
Mr. Excitement. So 2 out and nobody on. Justin Turner struck out his first time up. Matz looking for his first 1-2-3 inning of the day and trying to keep his pitch count down through 43 over the first 2 innings. And he just missed away to Turner.
Saw that in his first start, he was able to kind of get back on a good pitch count in the middle of the game.
Well, he threw 26 pitches in the first inning in that first start, 22 today. Yeah, there is Vin Scully in nearly his 66th year as the voice of Dodger baseball. He is a phenomenon above all others in this business.
He gives the scouting report on the boards here when fans are coming into the ballpark, the Mets and the Dodgers. He doesn't pull any punches. He said the Dodgers have been idling at 5-5 or whatever. He drops it on him.
He needn't hold back.
No, nothing better than the day game and hearing that voice.
He's just such a delightful person to be around. Every bit in person what he is on the air.
Whenever I come in, I always say hi to him. He wants to sit down and talk for as long as we can. He's just great.
Started out as a 21-year-old with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Tejada circles around that grounder and throws out Turner, and that retires the side. Matz has his first 1-2-3 inning of the day. We go to the 4th at Dodger Stadium with the Mets up 1-0. Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Johnny Manel will lead off for the Mets in the 4th inning. Mets with a 1-0 lead. Manel, Tejada, and Matz 6, 7, and 8 in the order against Mike Bolsinger, who's able to extricate himself from trouble in the 3rd after a leadoff walk. Manel flied out to left with 2 men on to end the 1st. He started his career up the coast with the Giants. He'll get a return visit to San Francisco coming up this week. Got all of 8 at bats as a Giant after coming up through their farm system.
I was going to say, that's a cup of coffee for you.
Well, you know, it will be interesting to see what Johnny's emotions are like going back to a place where he never really got a shot. He lines one into center field, a base hit. And that time Bolsinger got that curveball up, and Manel takes advantage with the Mets' 5th hit.
Seems to be Manel's strength is that he is a line drive hitter with some power, but he likes to go right up the middle when he's at his best, and he likes the ball up, fastball or breaking ball. See many high ball left-handed hitters.
Carlos Beltran comes to mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Mets have the leadoff man on for the 3rd time in 4 innings. And now Ruben Tejada, who flied to right his first time up. It is remarkable the percentage of curveballs this guy throws.
Reminds me more of what you'll see a lot in the college game. When you see the College World Series on, you'll see a lot of guys who don't throw that hard, but they'll throw a lot of breaking pitches.
Runner goes on a ground ball base hit right through the vacated hole. Mets play hit and run, and it works perfectly. Manel almost trips on his way to 3rd, but he makes it there safely. So the Mets execute the hit and run, and they have 1st and 3rd and nobody out.
Well, think about this, folks. Most of the time you want to hit and run. If you're ahead in the count, you see a lot on 2-1. Very rarely do you hit down a strike. But things have been going so bad for the Mets. Try something different. And that's what Terry Collins did there.
By the way, how often have you ever seen a hit and run with the pitcher up next?
That's right. With the pitcher up next. And Johnny Manel almost face planted between 2nd and 3rd, but he made it to 3rd base.
So a chance for Steven Matz to add to his RBI total. Matz flied to right his first time up. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. They're playing the infield back, and the curveball outside for ball 1. Now, just bear in mind, Matz drove in 4 runs in his first start. The Mets club record for RBIs by a player in his first 2 games as a Met is 5.
Can you set a record every start?
He might. 2 curveballs in a row to the pitcher, and Bolsinger falls behind Matz 2-0.
Did you see how he looks that into the glove? That's what hitters do. They watch that ball all the way into the glove.
And Steven Matz had every intention of being a hitter.
Watch that.
Yep. Wasn't until his junior year in high school that he was dissuaded from his goal of being a first baseman in the big leagues and took to the mound.
Happens to a lot of us.
Worked out well for you and so far for Steven.
3 out of 4 pitches curveballs here to Matz.
Not even a hint of a sacrifice in this at bat.
Why would you?
Juan Lagares on deck. 2-2 from Bolsinger, and Matz hits the curveball slowly. That'll get a run in. Kendrick is going to have to go to first with it. He gets Matz, but Steven Matz has his 5th RBI as Manel comes home, and it's 2-0 New York.
Well, you got to appreciate the 2-strike approach there by Steven Matz. I don't think I've ever said that about a pitcher before. But a good curveball from Bolsinger. He just put it into play. And sometimes something good can happen. Didn't hit it hard enough, so they couldn't turn 2. So the RBI for Matz.
So he ties Richie Hebner and Bernard Gilkey as the only players who've ever had 5 RBIs in their first 2 games with the Mets.
Does it hurt you just a little when you have to mention Hebner's name?
Yes.
Just a little?
Yes, it does. By the way, those 2 games probably his best as a Met.
Oh, give a jab.
Well, since you brought it up. Lagares flied out to center his first time up. Tejada at 2nd and 1 out. curveball from Bolsinger in for a strike. Richie Hebner was only a Met for 1 year, 1979. He left a lasting impression. It's off the mound and it hits the umpire. And Lagares is safe at first, and Tejada will be sent back to second.
Is that Dan Bellino that it caught?
It is. It hit him flush.
Well, it came off the mound strange. It hit the front of the mound, and it kind of came right at him. There's nothing he could do.
That'll be a base hit for Lagares. Tejada has to hold at second since it's a dead ball. And the Mets get a break there. Although was that ball going through, you think? There's Granderson. And he takes ball one.
It's hard to tell because it was hit so hard.
But it slowed up a little bit off the mound and then shot right into Bellino, who appears to be just fine after taking that hit.
More embarrassed than anything, but it's nothing he could do.
Now Granderson takes a strike. Granderson has an infield hit and a walk. He's scored a run. And Curtis now with an RBI chance. He's been fleeting for him, getting out of this leadoff spot. Tejada at second, Lagares at first, and Granderson goes the other way and he hits it down the line. Tejada will score. Lagares will hold at third. In at second with an RBI double is Curtis Granderson, and the Mets now have a 3-0 lead. Well, it's not often that Granderson shoots one down the left field line, but that worked. His 29th RBI.
Well, you'd like to see what the Mets are doing here against Bolsinger, who's been throwing so many curveballs that when they get a fastball, they jump on it. Nice hitting the other way by Curtis. If that ball didn't jut back out to the field, it might have given the back runner a chance to score.
Well, it came right out to Van Slyke, so Tim Teufel had no chance but to hold Lagares at third. Now Murphy, who's already 2 for 2, and they're going to walk him intentionally and pitch to Lucas Duda. So to give you an idea just how Duda has been going. But also Murphy's had good swings against Bolsinger his first 2 times up. So the Mets with a chance to break this game open. When's the last time I used that expression?
There you go.
They're up 3-0 in the 4th inning, and Duda will be coming up with the bases full.
And Mattingly's either playing for the punch out of Duda here or to induce a double play grounder.
No action as yet in the Dodger bullpen. The Dodgers made a move with a pitcher today. Carlos Frias, who was supposed to be their starter tomorrow, was placed on the disabled list with a back injury, and they called up the left-handed reliever Daniel Coulombe. And so they have an extra bullpen arm available today. But as yet, nobody up. Although that looks like it's about to change. So now Lagares at third, Granderson at second, Murphy at first, still only 1 out, 2 runs home in the inning. Duda has lined out to second and taken a call third strike. Takes a rip at a curveball, 0-1. Dodgers have the shift on against Lucas with the shortstop Hernandez playing right behind the bag at second. Juan Nicasio, the right-hander, first man up in the Dodger bullpen. Duda fouls back the high fastball, 0-2. Bolsinger up to 80 pitches, working with 1 out in the 4th. He's already given up 8 hits. 4 of them have come in this inning. He's ahead on Duda, 0-2. And Lucas goes down swinging on the curveball for the second out. So the strategy pays off for the moment for Don Mattingly. Now 2 out.
Remember, we saw earlier that Bolsinger left that breaking ball up. This one he bounces. Veteran Ellis blocks it nicely.
So 2 out, and now Wilmer Flores will bat. Flores singled in a run in the first inning by going the other way, and then he hooked one to the left field corner that Van Slyke caught just in front of the low fence. in the third. Homer has the Mets' only grand slam this season. And he shoots one foul, 0-1.
And one last season also.
Lagares at third, Granderson at second, Murphy at first, and 2 outs.
Sorry, Gary, not intimidated by batting with the bases loaded.
Right up the middle. Hernandez stops it, but has no play, and a run comes home. Brilliant stop by Hernandez. He probably stopped a second run from scoring, but no chance to get the force on Murphy at second. It's an infield hit for Flores, his second RBI of the day, and his 8th hit in this series.
Well, nice play by Hernandez to get to it. Good hustle by Murph to get there with the circus act by Kiki.
Well, if he had gotten an out on this play, this would go on every highlight reel forever. The backwards between the legs toss. Just a little bit tardy. So Wilmer Flores in this series is now 8 for 11 with 4 runs batted in, and the Mets have a 4-run lead. And now Michael Kadire will be the 9th man up in the inning. Dyer is struck out and popped up. Bases loaded, 2 out. And the fastball off the plate for ball 1. Johnny Manel, who began this barrage for the Mets, is now on deck. Mets have scored 3 times here in the 4th. Last big offensive day the Mets had was last Sunday in Steven Matz's debut. Of course, he had
a lot to do with it.
Most of the glory.
Bolsinger looks tired out there.
Grounded down to third, and Turner gets the out at second to end the inning. But 9 men came to bat for the Mets, and they push across 3 runs and lead 4-0 in the 4th. At Fox presented the game, and so that led to this crew photo of the week. Left to right, that is myself, John DeMarsico, our old buddy Kevin Burkhardt, and Dan Barr on the beach here in Southern California.
Kevin seems like it's taken him some time to get used to being here in California with the bare feet up on the cooler.
Nobody was more designed to be a Southern California dude than Kevin Burkhardt. Mets now with a 4-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Who were you?
I was there. I was in and out. My nickname when I played with the Mets was the Breeze. That's kind of how I was yesterday. Breezed in and breezed out.
Steven Matz now with a 4-run lead, blows one by Alex Guerrero, who is batting for Adrian Gonzalez.
After he was hit by the pitch.
Gonzalez got hit on the arm, and Guerrero taking his spot in the Dodger batting order. So we'll have to get a report on Gonzalez. And it's certainly not something the Dodgers want to have to deal with. So Guerrero, who has made a name for himself early this season for his exploits off the bench. Gets the pinch hitting assignment here. He's had one at bat in this series and fouled out. And he goes down on strikes, and Matz has his 6th strikeout, matching his total from his first big league start.
Well, looking dominant this afternoon, especially with his fastball. Great life on it early in this game.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Yasiel Puig, who hit into a fielder's choice his first time up. Dodgers have 1 hit. That came from their first batter of the game, Kike Hernandez. Single through the hole at short. Matz has hit a batter and walked a batter since. But that's the only hit.
Always interesting for me to see, Gary, a young pitcher with a little bit of a lead. This is a huge lead for a Mets pitcher, the way it's been the last couple of weeks, going right after the first few hitters with fastballs.
Yeah. From a Mets standpoint, the gap between themselves and the Dodgers right now feels like a chasm. And it's got to be a double-edged sword, right? You are so conscious of the fact that you can't make a single mistake most of the time in these tight games where your team isn't scoring. Curveball hit out to right, and Granderson's right there waiting. And Puig retired 2 out, but you also don't want your pitcher to lose his concentration.
And you also, as a pitcher, you want to stick to your game plan, you know. But if you get behind a hitter, then you challenge him with your good stuff.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Scott Van Slyke, who walked and stole a base in the second inning. Van Slyke, part of the crowded Dodger outfield, which will get more crowded in a few days when Carl Crawford comes off the disabled list.
He's coming back from a torn oblique also, right?
It's the injury of the millennium, isn't it?
Yeah. In fact, Steven Strasburg, right, Gary?
Right back on the disabled list with an oblique injury. 1-2 to Van Slyke. It's been a big week, though, for pitchers coming back from injury. Last night it was Patrick Corbin for the Diamondbacks coming back from Tommy John surgery and making his season debut. And I would think the Mets will probably face Corbin next week in New York.
The lefty from upstate New York. He's got great stuff.
Had a great rookie season. 1-2 pitch, and Van Slyke pops from a foul, backing out of play. And speaking of pitchers coming back, you look at the probables against the Giants. Matt Cain, his 2nd start of the season, and Jake Peavy, his 2nd start since coming back from 3 months off with a back injury. So those guys are just getting their feet wet.
So you're telling me Jacob deGrom has another day game?
Of course. This time, though, it's not a Thursday afternoon, it's a Wednesday afternoon. I think he'd like to pitch better than he did this past Thursday. 2-2, and Van Slyke takes just inside, full count.
What Matz does inside to righties is going to prove so important over the length of his career. It keeps the hitters honest on that inside corner.
And he walks Van Slyke. 2nd time he's walked Van Slyke. Those are his only 2 walks of the day. Get to Citi Field Saturday, July 11th, when the Mets take on the Diamondbacks at 4:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Juan Lagares bobblehead courtesy of Geico. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. You get the bobblehead, it's got the outstretched glove, and you can attach your own sunflower seeds. I wonder how many bags of sunflower seeds Juan goes through in a an average 9 in a game.
I bet you he does 2 or 3 bags at least.
Now, going to San Francisco like we are, will all those sunflower seeds attract more seagulls than usual?
Well, I was going to think it'll become a Hitchcock film if he doesn't watch himself out in center field.
Right back to Matz. And he takes care of Jock Peterson to end the inning. We played 4 at Dodger Stadium. Mets up 4-0. Sun, sand, surfers. It's pretty, isn't it?
Oh, beautiful. Here's your guest house, Gary, right there in the left corner.
Change for the Dodgers. Scott Van Slyke moves from left field to first base. Alex Guerrero stays in left after he batted for Adrian Gonzalez. And we'll get word on Gonzalez when we can. Meanwhile, Mike Bolsinger is still pitching. It's a bit of an upset. Johnny Manel leads off in the 5th inning and takes a strike. Bolsinger faced 9 batters in the 4th inning and gave up 3 runs on 5 hits. Manel got that whole inning started with a base hit to center field. And Johnny bounces one foul. 0-2. Tejada and Matz to follow. Nice grab by the ball girl. So we were talking about Lagares and the sunflower seeds in center field. And I don't know if you saw the exchange yesterday between Carlos Gomez and Billy Hamilton. The Brewers were playing the Reds, and I guess at some point Hamilton's gum fell out of his mouth.
Oh, he spit it out or whatever.
And so the next half inning, Gomez goes out to center field and scatters nice fresh pieces of gum in the outfield and leaves a note as Manel goes down on strikes. Or did he get a piece of that? Got a piece. So he scatters gum and he leaves a note for Hamilton. Says, "I saw you drop your gum. I left you more." And Hamilton found it when he got out to center field and saluted.
There was a day when fielders would leave their gloves out in the field. Now they leave gum.
I like it better this way. Tap to the left side. Turner ranging over and makes the toss to get Monell one away. I can't even conceive of that, and I know they did it up through the 1940s. Yeah. And of course the gloves were a lot smaller then and less obtrusive than they are now. But imagine how many times it must have happened that somebody tripped over a glove going after a pop-up or something.
Yeah, tripped over a glove. I mean, early on they used to leave the gloves out and share gloves also. Imagine putting your big mitt in front of someone's in their mitt. You don't want your hands where someone does.
Well, guys are very protective about their mitts now, but I guess back in the early days of baseball, it was share and share alike. 1-1 to Tejada. Things were a little grittier back then.
Well, I remember you'd get celebrities that would come in the locker room and they'd love, hey, let me try your glove on. You're like, cringe. I don't want you to touch my glove. I really want you to leave.
Tejada went around on that half swing. 1-2. Ruben had a hit and run single that was instrumental in the Mets' 3-run fourth inning.
Ball bounced. Ellis tried to backhand it as he was going up.
What did Terry say on the last road trip? The Mets tried to play hit and run 7 times, and the batter never put the ball in play.
Yep.
So it was encouraging as Matz has to get out of the way of that foul ball off Tejada's bat. And encouraging that Tejada was able to put the ball in play, find the open hole, and get a base hit.
I think they have to do it more. I know you don't want to do it more, and I know the numbers say you're not supposed to hit and run a lot, but what are you going to wait? You have to kind of get this offense going somehow.
Tejada strikes out on the curveball. Ellis with the toss, and that's the second out. 4th strikeout of the day for Bolsinger. Drive Around the Majors brought to you by Buick with 5 expectation-shattering models. Another reason to experience the new Buick. We mentioned Strasburg on the DL. We mentioned the Phillies snapped their 6-game losing streak. And Garrett Cole was behind 3-0, but the Pirates put 5 on the board in the 5th. And Cole goes 8 innings for his 12th win. He's now 12-3. Whoa. Curveball up over the head of Steven Matz.
Almost gets hit by the foul ball. Now almost gets hit by a curveball. And Bolsinger held his chest like, my bad. Like, I don't know why he would do that. This game is just so country club. What's going on?
Don't forget that Matz also almost got hit by Johnny Manel's throw to second base.
That's right. He's a target. If he comes in threes, he's good.
He's been in harm's way, but he's managed to elude every threat. Matz drove in a run with a ground out his last time up. So he's hitless today, but he's added to that RBI total. First pitcher for the Mets with 5 RBIs in back-to-back games since Doc Gooden in 1985, coming down the stretch of his phenomenal year. Bolsinger behind on Matz 3-1, and Steven bounces one out to short. Hernandez charging, and that retires the side. So Bolsinger throws a 1-2-3 5th. We're halfway through with the Mets and Matz up 4-0. Heading into their Sunday night game tonight in Washington. The Dodgers and Giants both moved west from New York in 1958, and the Dodgers had a head start on their 5 World Series titles out here. Of course, the Giants have won 3 of the last 5 now.
How about the Giants playing against Washington on the East Coast tonight and having to fly back to San Francisco, face the Mets tomorrow? Great for the Mets, but
it's a problem. It really is. A.J. Ellis takes low ball one. Now, the Giants, when they were in New York against the Mets, played a night game and then flew home and played the next night. But that was a 7 o'clock start. Tonight it's an 8 o'clock start. So it's a problem. And I've talked to a lot of people in baseball about it. And apparently every year, every go round in the negotiations for the basic agreement, it comes up that these night getaways are bad for players, bad for the game.
Yeah.
And the players want day getaway days, and then they negotiate it away.
Yeah.
And the status quo remains.
Well, I think they leave it on the table. That's because it's been negotiated away.
Ellis drives one to left field, and that's down for a hit. Cut off nicely by Kadire. And A.J. Ellis has the Dodgers' second hit of the day.
Well, just the fastball right there for Ellis. And he jumps all over it. Only hitting 181 coming into this ball game. But it drops in front of Kadire.
Now Alberto Callaspo, who started at third base yesterday and went 2 for 4 and drove in a couple of runs. Switch hitter batting right. And he pops the first one into shallow center. And Lagares right there waiting for it. Ball drifts on him a bit, and he makes the grab for the first out. 1 out and 1 on. Kike Hernandez coming up, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, you mentioned the Giants on a 5-game losing streak. Actually, the 4th time this season that the streaky Giants have lost 5 games or more. The pitching's really been the problem. A team ERA over 6 during this stretch of time. And, you mentioned it earlier in the game. A couple of guys coming back trying to shake off the rust, and Matt Cain, Jake Peavy. Matt Cain in his first start last week, he was not very good. 5 earned runs in 5 innings pitched. Jake Peavy, however, first start since April 17th. He really was the hard luck loser, losing 2-1 to the Nationals. Retired 16 of his first 17 batters, pitched 6 scoreless innings before giving up a 2-run shot in the 7th.
Of course, the other problem the Giants have is their outfield is banged up.
Yeah.
Hunter Pence on the DL, Nori Aoki on the DL, and Angel Pagan has had to sit out 2 of the last 3 games with a sore knee. That's their entire starting outfield. So they've got some problems right now. And the Mets will hope to take advantage of it. Big swing by Hernandez, and he's down on 3 pitches. Strikeout number 7 for Steven Matz. A new career high for 2 strikes.
Well, just the fastball upstairs, it just explodes past Kike Hernandez.
So 2 out. Ellis still at first. Now Howie Kendrick, who is struck out and grounded out. That's up to 80 pitches now. He's for 43 in the first 2 innings. Been a little more efficient since. Hey, the Red Sox won again today. They're coming. And the Ramirez 2-run homer in the bottom of the 7th. They beat Houston 5-4.
It doesn't take too much to get back in it in that AL East. The Rays have lost 7 straight. How did they do today? You know?
They won. Okay. They beat the Yankees 8-1. Behind Erasmo Ramirez. 2-0 to Kendrick. And Matz misses badly and falls behind 3-0 with Justin Turner on deck.
Well, this is one of the things we've seen from Steven so far in the first couple of starts. I wouldn't say a total lack of concentration, but he gets to a point where he's trying to be careful early in the count, and it gets him these 3-0 counts.
He's walked 2. He struck out 7. There's a strike, 3-1. So the Red Sox with that win are now 6 games out of first place.
I mean, how bad have they been, too, to be 6 games out?
They were horrid. But they're starting to pitch better. Buchholz threw a complete game yesterday and getting more offense. The offense is, I think, what they expected all along now. Getting good performances from people like Mookie Betts and Hanley.
Pablo maybe starting to hit.
See the catch he made yesterday?
He did.
Falling into the dugout.
I mean, who's going to push him, hoist him back on the field? That's the issue.
Oh, it was the enemy dugout. Runner goes, 3-2 pitch, and Kendrick flies one down the right field line. Granderson toward the sidewall, and he makes a nice catch right up against the railing. Nicely done by Curtis Granderson to get Steven Matz through the bottom of the 5th. With that low sidewall, he takes a glance, knew exactly how much room he had, Beautiful play by Granderson. 4-0 Mets. Yesterday, will pitch in the 6th inning today.
Boy, it's interesting to be using him here in this situation, but he'll face Lagares and then the 3 lefties of the Mets. So I guess Don Mattingly trying to take his shot at holding this game here where it is.
Yesterday, Kenley Jansen, the Dodger closer, was unavailable, and the Dodgers had to patch together the last 2 innings, and it almost got away from them. Yimi Garcia, Adam Liberatore, Pedro Baez each charged with a run, and then Howell came in to get the last out, striking out Curtis Granderson to register the save. Juan Lagares had himself a rule book hit his last time up. His ground ball went off the mound and hit the second base umpire, and that was scored a base hit. Still not sure whether he would have had a hit anyway had Dan Bellino not gotten in the way. But Dan is out in the outfield this time, so he was a little safer.
Yeah, they're now best friends.
So Lagares 2 for 9 in this series, and hits one right back to Howell. And Lagares retired 1 out. Get to Citi Field Sunday, July 12th, and the Mets take on the Diamondbacks at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans will receive a Mets jersey drawstring bag. That's a Mets jersey drawstring bag.
That was tough.
Courtesy of Verizon. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sunday. So it's a drawstring bag that looks like a Mets jersey.
Can I ask you, the person who wrote that, did they read it out loud?
Probably not.
Okay.
That's not their job. Curveball in for a strike to Granderson. Curtis has been on base 3 straight times, an infield single, a walk, and then he took a double down the left field line to drive in a run in the 4th. So Curtis having himself a fine day. Now facing Howell, who struck him out yesterday, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Danny Murphy on deck. So Granderson and Murphy hitting 1-2 in the order today, on base 6 times out of 6. 4 for 4 with a couple of walks. And Granderson hooks that one foul.
Well, Howell doesn't throw that hard anymore. He had some of his better years in Tampa Bay when he was throwing a little harder. He's got a big curveball, a little turnover change, almost like a screwball.
Now 32 years old. Feels like he's been around a lot longer than that. And he strikes out Granderson. Ellis retrieves and throws him out. It's a strikeout for Howell. 2-3 on the putout for the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. And now Murph, who's 2 for 2, who was intentionally walked his last time up. That worked for a moment when Bolsinger struck out Duda, but then Flores with an infield hit to drive in a run. As the Mets scored 3 times in the 4th inning. If you're just tuning in, that's really the truth. The Mets scored 3 runs in the 4th inning. Duda takes it. Murphy takes inside ball 1.
Well, if our folks are tuning in, everyone's probably asking us as soon as they see the score, hey, did Matz hit a grand slam?
Well, Matz has an RBI today.
He does.
But no hits. And Murphy's hitting the back. Well, just a fastball that ran in on him. And Murphy will go down to first. Murphy on base for the 4th straight time.
Number 21.
I think that was a changeup, Gary. I think he was going about 65 miles an hour from Howell, but it got him right in the back.
When you played, did guys make sounds when they were hit by pitches?
You couldn't, because they would make fun of you.
There's Duda, who's 0 for 3. Hit 1 ball hard, lined out to second base, but then struck out twice against Bolsinger, who went 5 innings, allowed 4 runs and 9 hits. Murphy at first and 2 out. And Duda takes a strike. Well, the Mets have not had much luck out here in recent years, trying to win a series here at Dodger Stadium. Dodgers have beaten the Mets 14 of their last 18 meetings.
And pretty handily if you look at all the stats.
Is some chavez joining us?
I don't know, but the Coast Guard is landing there right on top of the crest of the hill there in Griffith Park.
Oh, out on Chavez Ravine.
That's right.
The old goat pasture where Mr. O'Malley got the sweet deal. The old Dodger Stadium. They left the rest of the goat pasture intact.
Where Ralph Kiner used to play as a kid.
It's nice hiking up there. Ralph used to shoot rabbits up there,
That's
he said.
right.
Back long before Dodger Stadium was built. That's nubbed foul. It's amazing, though, even thinking about the 1950s, that this large a parcel of land so close to downtown Los Angeles was available for the giveaway that Mr. O'Malley received. Little wonder then that he decided to move west and forsake Brooklyn forever.
Yeah.
The interesting part, of course, now in retrospect is that O'Malley wanted to build a new stadium for the Dodgers right where the Barclays Center is now.
Yeah, like Atlantic Avenue, right?
Right. But Robert Moses, who was in charge of such things for the city, wanted to give him a site in Flushing Meadows, which is where Shea Stadium was eventually built. And O'Malley did not want a team in Queens. He wanted a team in Brooklyn. So he ended up with a team in Los Angeles. And it's worked out very nicely for the Dodgers. And it's worked out okay for the Mets, because otherwise there would be no Mets.
That's right.
1-2 coming. And Duda down on strikes for the 3rd time. So 2 strikeouts in the inning for Howell. Matt's back to the mound for the bottom of the 6th, up 4-0. Turned on the grill. They're a unique shape, aren't they?
They are. There's no gray with the Dodger dog. It's either people love them or don't like them at all. I'm a fan.
I've had one in my life, and I don't even remember whether I liked it or not. Maybe I'll have to try another one soon.
Yes, on the way out. I'll get you one.
Justin Turner leads off in the home sixth against Steven Matz, who's held the Dodgers to 2 hits through 5 innings. Turner's 0 for 2, struck out and grounded out. Alex Guerrero on deck. Guerrero took over for Adrian Gonzalez. His curveball for a strike. We got word on Gonzalez, a right hand contusion after he was hit by a Matz pitch back in the first. And perhaps that's why Daniel Murphy got plunked by J.P. Howell. 3-hitter for 4-hitter. Swing and a miss, 1 and 2. And we're sitting second today, but you get the idea.
But it was with 2 outs, you know, so that's when those things happen.
That's about to throw his 90th pitch of the afternoon. Remember, he threw 110 in his first start. We were a little surprised when he went out for the 8th inning with 100 pitches under his belt. And he wound up going 7 2/3. 1-2 to Turner. And fouled away. And the Mets get some bullpen action going. Logan Verrett will begin to throw. It's unlikely, I would think, that they would let Matz throw 110 again.
I wouldn't think that either, but he's on the Sunday schedule. I mean, he pitched last Sunday, he's pitching today, and he's going to pitch the day before the All-Star break. I wouldn't use him past the 6th inning if he can get through it. The reason I wouldn't is because it hasn't been comfortable for him today. You know, he's thrown a lot of pitches out of the strike zone.
Walked 2, struck out 7. 2-2 to Turner, and the curveball fouled out.
People at home are saying, yeah, he's got 5 shutout innings. What are you talking about? I'm just saying about he has not looked comfortable out there. A lot of 3-0 counts, 3-1 counts, but he's worked out of most of those jams. You know, he got on that roll against the Reds after the first couple innings, and he hasn't quite hit that stride here this afternoon.
He's had a lead since the first pitch he's thrown today. And the curveball hooked down the line, foul. Well, we've seen it with this 6-man rotation, this first time or two through. Maybe pitchers not quite as sharp. We saw it with DeGrom, we saw it with Harvey. And they're all going to have to figure out how to adjust to it. 2-2. Just missed inside, full count.
Well, Harvey prefaced his comments yesterday by saying, hey, it's not an excuse, but it's hard to, you got to put some thought into it and some work into it to make sure you keep your command. And certainly Harvey didn't have it yesterday.
Turner hits one in the air to center. Easy play for Lagares. And on the 9th pitch of the at-bat, Matz wins that battle, 1 away. Well, those are some folks who have been born in New York and have played for the Mets over the last few years. Steven Matz, the 15th Long Islander to play for the Mets, but from other parts of the the east of the Hudson part of the tri-state area.
Right.
Leaves the Jersey guys out of it.
Well, I think when you look at ball clubs, Atlanta always drafts a lot of players from around their area. Why? They have great travel teams there. There's a lot of players. Kids in the East don't get the opportunities to play as much as those in the South or West.
Another chance for Lagares, and Guerrero retired, 2 out.
So I would guess in a business sense there's less inventory.
Right. But, you even think about Minnesota Twins keeping guys like Kemp Herbeck and Joe Mauer home. I mean, teams, I think, look first in their own backyard. They're not necessarily going to be swayed by geography, but don't mind having some hometown kids on your team.
I think it's great for the fan base. It's one of ours, out on the mound.
Yasiel Puig takes outside ball 1. So Juan Nicasio back up in the Dodger bullpen after Howell worked a hitless 6th. Puig is 1 for 9 in this series, 0 for 2 today, and Matz throws a fastball by him. Ball and strike. Matz threw some changeups early in this game. We've seen very little of that since.
Well, he knows he has a good fastball, and that's what he's gone to whenever he's gotten into trouble.
Knee-high strike to Puig, 1-2. Puig not happy with that last call. Well, first we had the helicopter landing. Now we have fire trucks out on the hill beyond the stadium. Strike 3 called, and Puig drops his bat in disgust as he's punched down in the curveball. 8 strikeouts for Steven Matz. Pitching icons while we've been here this weekend, and nothing drew more excitement here in LA than Fernando Mania. 1981, Fernando Valenzuela came up as a 19-year-old and changed everything as far as the Mexican presence here at Dodger Stadium.
I think you have to put it in a historical perspective for a lot of folks out there. In 1981, the players went on strike, and when they came back, people were just dying to see some good baseball. And in 25 starts, he went 13-7, 8 shutouts, 11 complete games. Rookie of the Year and Cy Young Award winner. Amazing.
And drew fans who had never come to Dodger Stadium before, and really increased the fan base and brought Dodger baseball to an entirely new level. Juan Nicasio is on to pitch for the Dodgers in the 7th. Wilmer Flores leads off. Flores having quite the series, 2 for 3 today. As he bangs one off his leg, a foul ball. Flores is 8 for 11 in this series, and he's driven in 4 runs in the 3 games. So he's had a nice resurgence here in Southern California. Michael Cuddyer on deck, and then Johnny Manel. Flores facing Nicasio, who was a starting pitcher in Colorado. And now that he's been moved to the bullpen, his average fastball velocity is up 2 miles per hour.
I always thought he was kind of a 500 starter, 500 record as a starter when he was in Colorado. 500 pitcher, you know what I'm saying.
Well, he went from one of the toughest places to pitch to one of the most glorious places to face. That might have an impact as well. And you see he's got good numbers this year as a Dodger. He struggled against left-hand hitters, but brought in here to face the right-hand batting Flores. Pulled over the bag, and that's another base hit for Flores going to the corner. Wilmer Flores with his 3rd straight 3-hit game in this series. He's got a leadoff double in the 7th.
Well, when it rains, it pours here for Flores in Southern California. Beautiful double down the line, beats Turner to the stripe. Wow, what a series for Flores.
9 hits in 12 at bats, 3 straight 3-hit games. See if Northern California can be as kind to him. Now Michael Kadire 0 for 3 today in his return to the lineup after not starting the last 4 games. Michael's now 0 for his last 13 and 2 for his last 35. Batting average has fallen below 240.
This is where you can't go to sleep if you're the Mets. Yes, you have a good lead. To me, it's not a comfortable lead. You need add-on runs. You know, play for one. If you get 2, great. But somehow get Flores in from second base.
Dyer at the plate. Johnny Manel on deck.
Dyer trying to shoot it that way. Unsuccessful 2 times.
Mets have now out hit the Dodgers 10-2. That's right, I said 10. Two coming, and Kadire goes down on the high fastball. So if Kadire's difficulties continue, that's the first out of the inning.
After a steady diet of sliders from Nicasio, gets his high fastball right by him.
Number 19, Johnny Manel.
Swinging at pitches eye high. That's not really what you expect from Kadire. Now it's Manel, who's 1 for 3 today. Single to start the Mets' 3-run uprising in the 4th. Flores still at second with 1 out. And Manel takes it wide.
Pretty good shift put on by the Dodgers here against a guy they can't know a lot about. Kiki up the middle. And Turner off the bag at third.
Manel's base hit was up the middle his first time up. Ruben Tejada on deck. Well, the Mets with double-digit hits today. Last time they did that was against the Reds a week ago Saturday. Of course, that was in 13 innings.
Yeah, that was the resumed game, right?
Yes, it was.
Never forget that one.
It was right before the Steven Matz start last Sunday. Shoots one the other way foul. By the way, it would appear as though Steven Matz is done. 101 pitches through 6 innings, and Logan Verrett getting ready. Matz's spot in the batting order is 2 places away. Would you let him hit?
Well, think about it. You would think about it, right?
I mean, you only have a 4-man bench. Might be the time to do it. Give him an extra at bat, even though he's coming out of the game.
Start hurting people's feelings. That's what happens then.
But you know, the Marlins did that the other day with Jose Fernandez. He was coming out of the game. They gave him an at bat. He had a home run. Flores at second and 1 out. And Nicasio taking his time. Nicasio won 9 games for the Rockies 2 years ago. That was, I guess you'd say, his best season. But his ERA was typically over 5 with Colorado. But you know, it's hard to judge. Yeah. So he comes to a better environment to pitch. They give him a different role as a middle reliever, and he's done awfully well with it. Still a relatively young pitcher, just 28.
Well, really difficult golf courses they'll handicap. Well, they handicap every golf course, but the more difficult ones have the higher score. Colorado should have a higher score for the pitchers. It's about, I don't know, 1.5, 2 runs different than you'd have in some of the bigger ballparks.
Well, they've tried their best to even things up with the humidor, but it doesn't discount the vast acreage in the outfield that produces so many hits. 3-1 to Manel with Tejada on deck. And Johnny takes ball 4, only the second walk he's drawn this season. And the Mets have 2 men on.
Well, there's a helipad out there, and they've landed a couple times now with that helicopter. Hopefully it's just drills and not something serious, because they've been, I mean, a serious drought here in Southern California.
Got water restrictions everywhere.
Stage D, they call it, which is drought, which means you can only use so much water on your property and other ways. I think it's training. Training facility for helicopters that put out fires, which is needed here at least once a year.
So here's Tejada with 2 men on. Ruben 1 for 3 at a hit and run single and scored a run in the 4th. Daryl Siciliani has come out on deck to bat for Mats. So Stephen will not get the incremental at bat. That's looped the other way. A base hit for Tejada. Flores read it well. He's being waved home. Puig's throw goes towards second. It's an RBI single for Ruben Tejada, and the Mets extend their lead to 5-0.
That's a huge hit from Ruben. Ruben and Wilmer Flores have had pretty good series here, and like seeing him hitting more line drives again. A couple of hits off Kershaw the first night, and a big hit here to push the lead up to 5.
So the second hit of the day for Tejada. Big day for Flores, his 3rd straight 3-hit game, and now Siciliani will bat for Mats. Siciliani got the start in left field yesterday, went 0 for 3. He has really been over-swinging. And he takes a strike from Nicasio. When he first came up, he looked like he was just looking to put the ball in play, looking to get on base.
A lot of hits to left field.
He had 1 home run, and ever since then, it's looked like he's been trying to duplicate that.
It's intoxicating, those home runs.
Quickly down to the count 0-2. The Mets with their biggest offensive day since last Sunday. Look, Lagares even with the sunflower seeds on deck.
Sorry, maybe 4 bags, Gary.
Are those things addictive?
All the sodium, salt in them? Maybe.
Maybe he has the unsalted kind.
I would hope.
The tray with all the snacks. Got your gum, got your sunflower seeds, maybe some Twizzlers. 0-2 to Siciliani. And Darryl takes inside.
So they spend all this time trying to make sure they eat the right food, eat correctly for a day game to be ready to go. And as soon as they get out, Twizzlers, gum, and sunflower seeds.
It used to be chewing tobacco. So
that's
at least,
better. Yeah,
at least we've made that stride in the right direction. On the outside corner, strike 3 called. So a good backdoor slider by Nicasio to get Siciliani for the second out.
Well, you don't like to see that when you get an at bat off the bench and the bench has struggled, that you don't get the bat off your shoulder.
Number 12, Juan Lagares.
You know, there's probably a day that's coming in baseball. It's not here yet, and it may be a while off, where the primary snack in that dugout will be kale chips.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Or as we heard last night, maybe some seaweed or something.
2 out and 2 on for Lagares. Takes the fastball outside.
No, I threw it as an aside, but I mean, honestly, the bench is going to have to start taking some better at bats later in games. And you got people on base. I'm not saying, you know, you swing at a ball off the plate, but you can't take 3 without getting the bat off your shoulder.
Well, there's this issue that the Mets have dealt with in recent years, and other clubs have this too, where you get players who come up from AAA where they're playing every day, getting 4 at bats every day, and all of a sudden they're getting 3 or 4 at bats a week. And how do you figure out how to have good at bats under those circumstances when you've never done it before? Lagares lifts one to right center. And Puig calling as he goes, and he misses it. It rolls to the wall, and 2 runs will score. Lagares racing for third. He is in safely, and the Mets lead 7-0. Puig kept drifting, and it finally sailed over his head, and the Mets get a couple of gift runs.
Well, he didn't want to catch this ball from the start. He was looking at Peterson the whole way, hoping that he'd rescue him. It got in the sun just a little bit in the beginning, and he really didn't want to catch that baseball. With the good comes the bad with number 66.
Yeah, he has had a rough series all the way around. And they're going to score that triple for Lagares. So Lagares has had 2 gift hits today, one that hit an umpire and the other one messed up by Puig. 4th triple of the year for Lagares. He gets a couple of RBIs with that. And the Mets now have broken this baby open. It's 7-0. Here's Granderson, and he takes a strike.
Let's see the hustle from Tejada. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to show when a ball that should be caught in right field. And he gets it into the highest gear he can once he rounds third.
And Lagares was just flying. He had thoughts about an inside the park home run. Puig is an extraordinary talent. And he's going to be a big star in this league, but he has still got a lot to learn.
Yes.
1-2 to Granderson, and that's up and in.
You know, he's a marketer's dream. The fans love watching him play. But if you love the game, sometimes it's an enigma of a player when you have to watch him with all that talent miss a ball like that.
Granderson down on strikes, so Nicasio strikes out 3 in the inning, but in between the Mets score 3 runs and leads 7-0, 7th inning stretch.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the 7th inning stretch.
Summer's on Us sales event from Kia. Visit TriStateKiaDealers.com to learn more. Video recap brought to you by Verizon Fios, the fastest, most reliable internet. Steven Matz, second start, better than the first.
Well, we talked about it before, is that in his first start he showed great composure. I don't know if he had as good a stuff today as he did in his last game, but he made it work, and he got another RBI, his 5th in 2 games.
6 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, an ERA through 2 starts of 1.32 for Steven Matz, who's in line for his second win, as the Mets have scored 7 runs for him in his second straight start, and this time he only had to drive in 1. Logan Verrett will work the bottom of the 7th.
Well, Verrett, this is his 6th appearance for them. He's gone at least 2 innings, so he's been the long man for the Mets, and an effective long man.
Last outing against the Cubs on Thursday went 2 2/3 without allowing a hit. He's been much better than anticipated, particularly when you consider that he is very new to this relief role. 1-1 to Scott Van Slyke, who walked twice against Matz. The only 2 walks that Steven gave up. Matz with 14 strikeouts in his first 2 games. 14 strikeouts in 13 2/3 innings. Only one Mets pitcher has ever had more strikeouts in his first 2 starts, and that was Matt Harvey, who had 18. Of course, he had 11 his first start against Arizona. Then he had 7 his second start against the Giants.
So the final hitter in Matt's face pushed him ahead of Seaver and Selma.
Wow. So Seaver only had 13 in his first 2 starts. Van Slyke hits one deep down the left field line, hooking. Foul. He's got some enormous power.
It's enormous. I mean, if he stood next to Scott Van Slyke, huge guy.
Jack Peterson also with enormous power waiting on deck. And Van Slyke goes down on the slider. So Verrett fans his first batter. 1 out in the home 7th.
That hole at bat was made by that 2-1 slider to get back into the count by Verrett and then put him away with the same pitch. 2-1 earlier, he threw him a slider to get back in the count. Oh, and this is the one he pulled foul. One of the few sliders we've seen him hang. And that's the one that put him away.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Jock Peterson, who's had a dreadful series at the plate. 0 for 2 today, 0 for 10 in the 3 games. There's going to be quite a race for National League Rookie of the Year honors this year, don't you think?
Yes. Peterson in his all or nothing approach.
Chris Bryant. Maikel Franco with the start he's gotten off to.
That's right.
Yasmani Tomas in Arizona. He's hitting over 300. I mean, you've got a lot of viable candidates.
Well, that it really makes you feel good about the game when they have so many young players playing at such a high level.
And then, you know, can you toss Syndergaard and Matz into that hopper and think about what their season's going to look like when they're done?
Why not?
I mean, Matz came up awfully late to merit any consideration, but then Jacob deGrom came up pretty late last year and won the award.
deGrom got to what, 9 wins last year to win it all? Or am I giving him a couple?
I think he got 9.
9, yeah.
But he came up mid-May, and Matz didn't come up until end of June, so that would be tough.
And he's a 6-man rotation, so you're going to get less starts.
But Syndergaard, if he keeps going the way he's going right now, he could be right in that conversation. Peterson grounds one toward the hole. Duda on the backhand. Didn't have to lay out this time. Duda has made, what, 4 diving stops in this series? Going to his right. This time, though, to his right and no dive required.
That was a real great shot we had there of his ready position. You know, it's not easy to go out there for 150 times a game and be ready for every pitch. But Lucas does that. He does all the defensive mechanics you have to do to put yourself in a position to be ready to field the ball. That's why he makes those plays.
Was that long, cool woman in a black dress?
It was.
That's great walk-up music. Nice job, A.J. Ellis. He's 1 for 2 today. Had one of the 2 hits against Matz. A single to left in the 5th. And he takes a strike.
It doesn't surprise you, does you? Does it? That A.J. Ellis would be the guy that would have a cool tune? Great guy.
Andre Ethier's out on deck to pinch hit if Ellis keeps the inning going. And he waves at that slider from Verrett. Well, Logan Verrett did not get as much attention as a lot of the other starters coming up through the Mets farm system. But very early in his major league career, he's showing that he has got the stuff.
Because he doesn't throw 95. If you don't throw 95, you're off the radar in today's game.
And he strikes out Ellis on 3 pitches. Another strong inning for Logan Verrett. 1-2-3 with a couple of strikeouts. On to the 8th. Mets up 7-0. View from outside of Dodger Stadium, from out in the vast parking lot. What do we got there? The Tommy Lasorda statue in bobblehead form. Very nice. Tommy, I know, was here last night. I don't know if he's here today. Yasmani Grandal is going to come in to play first base. He'll bat 9th in a double switch. And the new pitcher just recalled from the minors today, left-hander Daniel Coulombe.
But we said before that Frias, their starting pitcher, was supposed to start tomorrow. Back. So he's off the roster, and Coulombe is on it.
Coulombe was up with the Dodgers earlier this year. 25-year-old left-hander from Texas Tech. Same school that produced A.J. Ramos.
That's right.
Fine relief pitcher with the Marlins. Daniel Murphy will be the first man up for the Mets in the 8th inning. Murph's been on base 4 straight times, 2 singles, an intentional walk, and then he was hit in the back by a pitch his last time up. Perhaps in retaliation for Adrian Gonzalez getting plunked early in the ball game. Gonzalez had to leave with a bruised right hand.
Interesting long discussion between Murphy and Ellis when he came to the plate. I don't know what it's about, but unusual that there be anything to talk about when you're blitzing a team 7-0 here in the 8th.
Murphy goes after the breaking ball and fouls it off. 1-1. Murphy, Duda, and Flores for the Mets, who have racked up 7 runs and 12 hits, which feels like a week's worth. Just getting themselves revved up for their assignment tomorrow night, facing Chris Heston, who threw a no-hitter against them a month ago. Breaking ball, blooped, shallow center. On comes Peterson to play it on a hop, and Murphy's on base for the 5th straight time. A 3-for-3 afternoon for Murphy, and he leads off the 8th with a base hit.
Let's have 5 players in the lineup now with multiple hits.
Flores and Murphy each with 3. And now here's Duda, who has not been able to cash in on the party. He's 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts today. He just had a golden sombrero during the last homestand. He'd like to avoid one today. He has to duck out of the way. So Coulombe coming close to an electromagnetic collision with Mr. Duda. Now, I remember from high school physics that right. Coulomb's law is something, but I have no idea what. Can you enlighten me?
I will enlighten you, and I'm just reading this because I did take physics, but I didn't remember. It's the electrostatic interaction between electrically charged particles. Law was first published in 1785 by Charles Augustin de Coulomb.
So it's like when ions come together.
That's right. Exactly. Very nice. So we're teaching too. Not a lot.
An ionic ground ball to Kendrick, and a nice play to get the force. No chance for the double play, and it's airmailed into the dugout by Kiki Hernandez. Well, good play by Kendrick, a terrible play by Hernandez, and Duda will go to second base on the air. And no chance to turn two, but a great play by Kendrick.
Yeah, Kendrick running to his right makes the play. Just have to hold that ball. Understand it. I mean, just how long this took should tell Kiki Hernandez just to come off the bag. But you know, when you're not playing every day, sometimes you try to do too much.
So now it's Flores, who has put together his third straight 3-hit game today. 2 singles and a double. He's driven in 2. And he takes up an away ball 1. It's the best way to start your weekday. Join Suki, Corey, and the gang from 5 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home. Wilmer is 9 for 12 in this series. And he lays off 2-0.
Laying off. That's what the Mets have done a little better in this series. Try to fight their way back to find some offense.
Well, they scored 2 runs Friday night, 3 runs yesterday, and a big pile of 7 today. And that's hit hard down the left field line, and Flores has himself another hit. Duda will come in to score. It's a 4-hit game for Wilmer Flores, his 10th hit in the series, and the Mets are piling it on. It's now 8-0. They've been waiting for a day like this for a long time.
The fielder, number 23, Michael Kadire.
Boy, when's the last time you saw a guy have a 3-hit game, a 3-hit game, a 4-hit game in one series? You just don't see that happen. And he drops this one right on the line.
Well, it's been a couple of years since the Met had 3 straight 3-hit games, and Flores adds a 4th to boot today. Now Michael Kadire would like just one of those hits. And Michael flies one into right field, and Puig doesn't appear to have problems with the sun this time. 2 out. Gets a sarcastic roar from the crowd.
But by his body language, you're not really sure if he ever is going to catch it. If he really, I mean, it's interesting to watch him as he's this bundle of energy on offense and on defense, but not always on defense.
Well, he had a play yesterday late in the game. The Mets were down by 2. They had runners at first and second. Catches a fly ball. Runner tag, goes from second to third. Instead of throwing to second to keep the tying run from getting to scoring position, he throws it to third. Now, he was fortunate that the back runner didn't move up, but it's the kind of thing where you think that he's more interested in showing off his skills, which he has in abundance, than necessarily doing the right thing for the team. And those are the things that would most concern you if you were playing alongside him.
Selfish play. Yeah, you got to rid yourself of that if you want to become one of the great players in the game.
Johnny Manel is 1 for 3 and a walk today. He scored 2 runs. Here's a nice how long has it been note. The Mets scored 3 runs on 5 hits in the 4th inning. The first inning they've had 5 hits since June 1st.
Over a month.
In San Diego. It seems like numbers from another era. Perhaps the Mets' drought is coming to an end. Came into today with just 28 runs scored in the last 16 games, putting up an 8th spot today. And Manel takes low and in. Now it's 3-1. Ruben Tejada, who's had a couple of hits today, is on deck. Mets got their first 4 off Mike Bolsinger. The starter went 5 innings. They got the last 3 against Juan Nicasio, and they've added 1 more here in the 8th. Noel takes ball 4, and he's on base for the 3rd time.
Shortstop number 11, Ruben Tejada.
So now it's Tejada. Ruben has twice singled to right. He's driven on a run. He's scored 2.
Well, this is one of those games. There's no one in the Dodger pen, so Mr. Colomb, this is your game.
He was brought back up today to soak up these kinds of innings. He might pitch the 8th and the 9th as well. That's hit hard but foul. Logan Verrett is out on deck to bat for himself. So the Mets are in the same mode. They'd like Verrett to give them at least another inning. And as you said, Ronnie, he's been the master of going 2 2⅔.
Well, he's got 3 pitches he can throw for strikes because he was a starting pitcher before being brought up.
I mean, Verrett has had such an interesting season in that he was a Rule 5 pick, taken out of the Mets organization, went to Baltimore for spring training, then got claimed on waivers by Texas, made his major league debut with the Rangers earlier this year, then was taken back by the Mets, went back to Vegas where he started games, then they used him in relief for a while, then they called him up. So it's been a weird year. But he's been done nothing but thrive since he got here.
And with some decisions to make in this next series against San Francisco, you want to be pitching your best baseball right now.
Without question. The Mets will have Henry Mejia ready to be activated on Tuesday after his 80-game suspension expires. And I would think that they will activate him as soon as he's eligible on Tuesday. He's supposed to pitch 1 more game for Vegas today and then fly and meet the Mets in San Francisco. 1-2 to Tejada. And he hits it hard. Another base hit for Ruben. Flores will be stopped at 3rd as it gets to Guerrero quickly. And so Ruben Tejada joins the 3-hit parade.
A laugher. One of the most important things for a baseball team that's going through hard times. And what's a laugher? It's one of these games where you score early and often. Your pitching is good. You can sit on the bench. You don't have to be biting your nails. Worry about the outcome.
Logan Verrett rolls one slowly to Kendrick. He's running hard and he just nips him at first base. Boy, Verrett really smelled the base hit there. And Kendrick got him by an eyelash for the 3rd out. Mets tack on a run. They go to the bottom of the 8th. Verrett almost had another one. Chandler Youngman, 8 innings, 4 hits for the Brewers, who've now won 8 in a row as they beat the Reds. Garrett Cole gets his 12th win as the Pirates beat the Indians. Phillies scored 4 in the 10th. Brian Howard, the go-ahead sacrifice fly. They beat the Braves 4-0. Cardinals win their second straight after 4 straight losses. Tommy Pham hit his first big league home run, his second big league game.
Can you tell me why the Cardinals, every time they bring up a new player, he gets off to a terrific start? How do they do? Must have some Cardinal juice over there or something.
Kyle Hendricks, 7 1/3 scoreless innings for the Cubs in their win today. And the Rockies lead the Diamondbacks. Troy Tulowitzki on a roll right now. What's that, a 19-game hitting streak? But Arizona's been playing very well. In fact, they're just a game under 500 coming into play today, and only 4 games out in the wild card. So they are in play. Of course, the Diamondbacks will be at Citi Field next weekend. Yasmani Grandal up for the first time against Logan Verrett as the Dodgers come up in the home 8th. And Grandal lifts the first pitch foul. Grandal started the first 2 games of the series behind the plate, went 2 for 5. Playing some first base late in this game. Adrian Gonzalez left this game early after being hit on the hand by a pitch back in the first inning. We're calling it a right hand contusion. And that will certainly be something the Dodgers will be keeping their eye on in the coming days.
This is a funny game, Gary. You know, the Mets get swept by Chicago. You look at it, they're going in to face Kershaw, Greinke. Bolsinger started today, but Kershaw and Greinke
out to left center, and Lagares in front of the warning track house.
And if you watch the Mets play the way they were playing, you say, well, they've got no chance those first 2 games against the Dodgers, and here have a chance to win the series.
Well, what gives you a chance every day is when you pitch well.
That's right.
And Harvey didn't pitch particularly well yesterday, and the Mets showed a little offense late against the bullpen, had a chance in a game they ultimately lost. But you go back to Friday night's game, and Syndergaard matched Kershaw pitch for pitch.
Right.
There's Kike Hernandez, and he bounces one down to third. Murphy grabs the big hop. And quickly there are 2 outs. So 5 up and 5 cast aside for Logan Verrett, who continues to shine.
Second baseman number 47.
11 straight Dodgers have been retired since a base hit by A.J. Ellis to lead off the 5th against Steven Matz. Matz went 6 in his second career start. No runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. Only 1 RBI.
Only 1.
The exit signs are up. Howie Kendrick takes a strike. And Syndergaard was wonderful on Friday night, which I guess means he pitches next Friday night.
That's right.
Against the Diamondbacks.
Ended his outing with a strikeout, just like Matz did. Is a big one against Yasiel Puig.
There's with a couple of men on in the 6th inning. Syndergaard allowed a run on 2 hits. Matz allowed no runs and 2 hits. So those are the 2 rookie members of this Mets rotation. The veteran guys take the mound the next 2 nights. Nice and Colon will start the first 2 games in San Francisco.
We got a deep bench. You know, you can go to the bench for the veteran guys, or you can use the young guys and the fresh legs and arms.
Beretta ahead on Kendrick, 1-2. And it's off the plate. A fastball at 93.
That's Bart.
Kendrick launches one to center. Well hit. Lagares back to the warning track, and he reels it in to retire the side. Brett retires 6 in a row in relief. We go to the 9th, 8-0 New York. With the Verizon Fios pregame at 3:30. Catch all the action right here on New York's Home for Baseball, Pix 11. That's the Mets and Diamondbacks next Saturday. Juan Lagares leads off the ninth against Daniel Coulombe, who gave up a run on 3 hits in the 8th. Lagares has had a very friendly day. He hit a ground ball that hit the umpire for an infield hit. He hit a fly ball to right, lost by Puig for a 2-run triple in the 7th. Slump busters. When you've come into the day 4 for your last 42, you'll take the gifts where they're handed.
Anytime.
Granderson on deck, Murphy to follow. That started hitting in the 1st inning. Flores with an RBI single, and they haven't stopped hitting since. Wilmer has had the biggest day, 4 for 5, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs. On top of 2 3-hit games each of the last 2 days.
10 for 13 in the series. I mean, that is sizzling.
Well, the Mets need somebody to get hot, and perhaps they found a few today. Lagares takes high, and it's 3-1.
I think the way their lineup is constructed, Gary, they need more than 1 or 2 to be hot. They need, 4 or 5 guys that, if they're not red hot, at least slightly warm.
Good cut by Lagares, 3-2. We saw Joel Peralta up in the Dodgers bullpen.
Might be the new human rain delay, although Baez might have it now.
I got to tell you, I was watching the game yesterday, and at one point when Pedro Baez was pitching for the Dodgers, I put the stopwatch on him. Lagares hits it out to right center, and Peterson ranges over, and Puig comes over as well, but Peterson makes the grab. He almost made a nuisance of himself, but not quite. Anyway, I was running the stopwatch on Baez, and the first time I did it between pitches, I got 35 seconds. I thought, that's pretty slow.
Yeah.
The second time I did it, 50 seconds.
Well, the umpire's got to take charge of that. Within the new rules of speed up play, they've just got to tell him to quicken his pace.
Well, I'm not sure that they can do that yet, but they're trying out the 20-second clock in the minor leagues this year. If that ever got instituted, he might have a problem. Granderson retired on 1 pitch, and that's the second out.
Number 28, Ed Murphy.
Well, there's your Mets box score, brought to you by Nissan, and lots to talk about today. A 4-hit game for Flores, a 3-hit game for Murphy, a 3-hit game for Tejada, Lagares with a couple of hits, Granderson with 2 hits.
Whoa.
It's a plethora of Mets offense today. Most hits they've had in a game, 15 since they put up 16 against the Brewers back on May 16th. Well, here's Murphy, who's been on base 5 times. He lines this one, and Kendrick catches it, and it's the first time Murph's been denied all day. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Mets cruising with an 8-0 lead.
Right? 2 hits.
By the way, Daniel Coulomb did not draw 2 walks. That was Scott Van Slyke, but small matter. It's Griffith Observatory in the foreground.
What are you telling me about Kershaw?
Clayton Kershaw's great uncle discovered Pluto in 1930.
How about that family tree? They got it going on.
And you know, Pluto got downgraded, then it got upgraded. Pluto's had a rough millennium, but that doesn't take away the feat of Clayton's grand uncle.
How about the feat of Logan Verrett here?
Trying for the 3-inning save, the rarely accomplished feat. And Justin Turner wailing at a fastball, 1-1. Well, Verrett retired 6 in a row in the 7th and 8th and threw just 22 pitches, so why not run him out there for the night? Looking for the first save of his professional career. He was a starter throughout the minor leagues. Line to left. Kadire will have to play it on a hop. And so there's the first base runner for the Dodgers since the 5th inning. Turner with his 2nd hit in this series and just the 3rd hit of the game for LA. Now Alex Guerrero, who came in after Adrian Gonzalez got hit in the hand by a pitch and had to leave. Guerrero's gone 0 for 2 off the bench. Mets are 3 outs away from taking the rubber game of this series. The last time the Mets won a road series, nearly 2 months ago in Philadelphia. Mets came into this series just 11-26 on the road, but trying to take 2 out of 3 from the first place Dodgers. It would be quite a feat.
Well, the Mets with a win today will go above 500 again, and a big part of that is the Philadelphia Phillies and their record against them as Gil Martin gets loose.
0-1 to Guerrero with Puig on deck. Grounded down to 3rd. Murphy's play is to 2nd. Gets the force there. Flores the quick turn, but not in time. That is a very quick turn by Flores, trying for the double play, with Turner bearing down on him.
Well, this ball not hit sharply, but a good toss by Murph on the bag. And like you said, put some heat on it by Flores to make that play close.
Might have even gotten it. It was awfully close. But Turner beat it.
Yeah.
When that ball went in his first hit, you thought there was no chance to get a double play. So Guerrero is on first with 1 out, and now Yasiel Puig. Puig is 0 for 3 today, 1 for 10 in this series. And Turner always does this.
Got into the feet of Flores.
Off the corner, ball and a strike to Puig. Pitcher spot 2 up next, so Andre Ethier is out on deck to pinch hit. Dodgers have been held to 3 hits today. They had only 3 hits in the first game of this series. This is a Dodger team that leads the National League in home runs and is 4th in runs scored. And the Mets pitching staff has done quite a job in this series. Due to playing behind Guerrero at first. Verrett still only has thrown 30 pitches, so he should have plenty left in the tank. And Puig chases the slider in the dirt. 2-2.
When I watch Yasiel Puig hit, sometimes I think he just premeditatedly thinks about when he's going to swing before he swings the bat. Like, I'm going to swing at this pitch no matter what it is. That's why he chases so many balls out of the strike zone.
Now the 2-2. Lifted down the right field line. And that'll go out of play. Now the 2-2. Line the other way and over the head of Duda. That's a foul ball. Just foul. Mike Everett, the first base umpire, tracking it after it just sailed beyond Duda's rim.
Ball kind of hit off the end of the bat, so Lucas didn't know when to time his jump, but it was way over his head. And Mike Everett right on it. And got the call right.
Very close to chalk, but outside it. That is a reviewable play, by the way.
Yes, it is.
But if Don Mattingly reviews this with 1 out in the 9th and an 8-run game,
bad form.
I think everybody would be very unhappy. Logan Verrett is trying to do something. Oh, wait a second. We might have a replay review.
See, this is not how the rule was intended. This, you know what this is right here? This is, I have a enigmatic player who's up at the plate, and if I don't review it for him, he's going to be angry that I didn't review to get him a base hit.
So let's see. He's trading.
I could be wrong, but I think I'm right.
So he's trading the possibility that Yasiel Puig might be angry at him versus everybody else involved in this game. Players, fans, media being angry at him.
Well, that's my only, I mean, at this time in the game, just like you wouldn't throw at players or you wouldn't, Tim Tuffle held a runner, you wouldn't add on runs. I don't think you review a play here. I get to see Donnie in a week. I'll ask him about it. I just don't think you do.
I think in the 9th inning, if it's beyond a 5 or 6 run deficit, I think you call off the jam.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, that's my feeling. I could be wrong about making sure you review it for one and for all.
Larry Vanover's crew and Dana DeMuth's crew are in the replay bunker for this week's games. So they are doing their reviewing. I was just about to say before we went to review, which is brought to you by Mazda, the last 3-inning save for a Met came 5 years ago. And they confirmed that it was a foul ball. Raul Valdez was the last Met to pick up a 3-inning save. It was against the Phillies, May 25th, 2010. And that's what Logan Verrett is trying to accomplish if he can get 2 more outs.
Team that Raul would eventually pitch for.
That's right. So that's 1 minute and 38 seconds. We'll never get back. And Puig strikes out on the following pitch. Here's the 3rd strikeout in relief for Logan Verrett. Puig finishes this series 1 for 11.
Well, the right-handed hitters especially have had a hard time picking up this slider from Mr. Verrett ever since he's come to the major leagues.
So the Dodgers are down to their final out. Andre Ethier will be the pinch hitter. Ethier started the first 2 games of the series, went 2 for 6. And getting the pinch hitting assignment here against Verrett, who is trying to finish off his first professional save. After Steven Matz went 6 terrific innings to start the day. Guerrero runs, and that's what let him take second on defensive indifference. Wilmer Flores with 10 hits in a 3-game series, first to do that since Ruben Tejada in Colorado in 2012. You knew that, right? Ruben was the last. And Ruben has a 3-hit day of his own today. So a lot of first senses today. There's a strike to Ethier. 1-1. '25-year-old Logan Verrett trying to put on the finishing touches. And Ethier skies it foul. And the Dodgers are down to their final strike.
bet you there was in the back of Logan Verrett's mind at some point when he re-signed with the Mets and went to Las Vegas. He said this might be a lost season for me, and it's been anything but now.
He keeps moving up in the pecking order with his performance. 1-2 to Andre Ethier. Stay home to play the Phillies. That might be a nice tonic for them. While the Mets go up to San Francisco. Giants are playing tonight in Washington, then spending most of the night flying home. 1-2 coming. Up and in. And Ethier has to snap his head back.
Fastball trying to paint in, but leaves it up around the head.
Two from Verrett. Ethier somehow able to foul off that slider.
.40 pitches now for Verrett.
Seventh pitch of the at bat coming to Ethier. And he popped it up. Flores waiting for it to come down. And the ball game is over. The Mets with a big offensive explosion today. Their most hits since the middle of May. Steven Matz goes 6 scoreless innings for his second win. Logan Verrett his first pro save. And the Mets take 2 out of 3 from the first place Dodgers, winning today 8-0. At last out, the play of the game brought to you by your Honda dealer. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer.
Well, what a day by Steven Matz. Even better than his first game, at least as far as the pitching is concerned. 6 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts, 14 over his first 2 games. That's only bested by Harvey of all the young pitchers, or rookie pitchers.
That's 7th shutout victory of the season. They go back over 500. Wilmer Flores with a remarkable